The Hawks have described the media report of the ANC Secretary-General's imminent arrest as irresponsible. Spokesperson Brigadier Hangwani Mlaudzi says the article is a move to undermine and distract the elite crime-fighting unit.
For any person to make such claims in the public space, I think it's very dangerous and very irresponsible. It has happened before. There are many cases that we have dealt with. But this one, I think it's very much disturbing in the sense that it came out very late in the evening. At the same time, you know, one has to be inundated with a lot of phone calls. If there was anything, I mean, we would have, dealt with this more professionally. But for now, we want to clear out this allegation that the Hawks were never involved in such a report. And if there is any investigation that has to be made, I think the national head and the NDPP will deal with that one. No, we view it as a move by whoever to undermine the DPCI. I'm sure people are seeing what we are doing recently, and I'm sure that there might be other people who are not happy with what we are doing, but this will not stop us from doing what is necessary. Intimidation or not, we have a responsibility. We are a law enforcement agency, and we'll make sure that those who are found to have been in the wrong, they are brought to court. So this won't stop us from what we're supposed to do.
Now, for further discussion on this, I'm joined by political analyst Sanusha Naidu. Good to have you with us this afternoon, Sanusha. So what do you make of these reports of the imminent arrest of Ace Magashule? We have heard the Hawks coming out and saying that it's fake news, but on the other hand, we also have heard Ace Magashule saying that, yes, indeed, he has heard of such.
Good afternoon. Yes, it does seem very curious in terms of the reporting that has come out, particularly where this morning it seemed to be that he was uncertain, or last night he was uncertain. There was no communication from the Hawks about this pending arrest. And then, of course, now we hear that he has, or allegedly has, received some notification of this. It's all very curious, but it's also very disturbing, because it ends up in a situation where we need to take this rule of law and the legal process around the rule of law situating itself in the context of what's happening in the jurisprudence of the situation and the matter very seriously. This cannot be a Mickey Mouse or a kind of approach that is basically broken down into a very disturbing set of issues. And I think, again, what Hawks spokesperson has indicated is that this cannot be something that can just be trivial, and it creates all kinds of very, very disturbing and, if not critical, significant disinformation, which can have very, very serious repercussions in what is a very important and a strategic issue with regard to corruption, the political governance of our country, and who is implicated. And again, I think that if there's fake news that's doing the rounds, we really need to basically nip it in the bud very seriously. And if there are people who are responsible for it for whatever reason, these people need to be brought to book.
There are two aspects of your response that I'd like to address first. You said those who are responsible for it. Let's perhaps first talk about the source of this. We first found out from Independent Online when they released this. They have since come out and have said that they have spoken to the Secretary-General, who has confirmed this. Now, if indeed what they are saying is accurate, then what is the definition of a fake news? What qualifies as a fake news?
Well, I think, firstly, the independent newspaper had released the story, and then they've come out and they said, well, they have spoken to the Secretary-General. The problem here is that this is one media house. And I'm wondering whether your news agency, other news agencies have received similar information that can verify what independent media is justifying as their story. And if you have to basically look at what your journalists are putting out, can they justify it? If they are not justifying it, then of course the question is, what is the source of independent media? And where are they getting this information from? What is the intention of the source of releasing this information in the public domain. The other point to raise in this, and this comes back to media integrity, it comes back to the way in which the role of the media is a custodian of this democracy in terms of what information gets put out in the public domain and how that information gets interpreted. I don't want to get into a debate about whether it's social media or Twitter. I genuinely believe in the authenticity of the traditional media space, and that is both the print and the electronic media, particularly TV, electronic broadcasts, and so forth. The second point to raise in this is the question around how do we manage these processes, because this is a high-profile individual. In fact, for this to come out and the Secretary General to suggest he didn't know about it and then come back and, according to, again, independent media saying that he now confirms it within inverted commas, I think again raises a question about what this means, because he is a high-profile individual. His name has come out in many instances of investigative reports. He's been cleared by the public protector, but there's been controversy about that. And this talks to the dynamics in the party and the fact that in the public domain there's been calls for some kind of high-profile arrest. Would the Hawks be that folly and would be that kind of trivial in the way that they would have released this information to the media, given the context and the political dynamics that surround it?
Sanusha, could there be a political hand at play here?
I don't want to get into that kind of speculative analysis, because I just don't know. I'll be no different than the people that I'm criticizing around how this information has been released. I don't know. I would not know, and I don't have any verifiable information to make that suggestion. I think conspiracy theorists will do that, and they will say, oh yes, this is about playing the media to judge what's happening in the social space. Because if you just look at what's happening on social media spaces, particularly Twitter, I haven't looked at Facebook, but there seems to be an interesting debate, a discourse, a narrative, a pushback as well. So I think at this point in time, let the legal processes, let the authorities come out and give us their information and verify whether or not there is an arrest. And as we've seen from heard from the spokesperson, his indication is that at this point in time, there's no arrest warrant.
Before I let you go, Sanusha, just your response. I mean, we did see when that article first came out and there wasn't clarity of whether or not it was true. It wasn't being questioned late last night. But what we did see is some response from the ANC Youth League. We saw a response from the Free State. We also saw a response from Vembe. Your comments on the ANC Youth League's response and the assertions that were made therein?
Well, I think it's a reaction. I think they may be reacting to the fact that this is something that they need to put their feelers out as well. Again, getting caught up in the speculation that they are responding to something that's tangible, that's verifiable. I'm not sure that they are. I don't know whether that is what they felt it was real or it wasn't real. I don't know what their response was in that context. But I think the need to make a reply or make a response or provide a press statement was essentially born out of the fact that they needed to make a statement, nevertheless. And I think for me, I was just very curious. I was basically, quite bemused by the fact that this has come out in a way where, again, there are interesting underlying currents that define some of these actions that we've seen. We've noted in the past that there's been speculation of how these kinds of leakages have been manipulated in different ways. But again, this is something that's not trivial. I can't emphasize that anymore. And I think the challenge we have here is that we should not trivialize that this is a serious issue. It's a serious, high-profile individual. It has very, very important implications for our fight on corruption. And we should just wait and see what comes out as an official statement from the Hawks and take it from there.
Sanusha Naidu, much appreciated once again. That's political analyst there, Sanusha Naidu.